Hey guys, today we are here to talk about some of my favorite fantasy books in the last little while. They are what I'm calling clean, no spice. My criteria for that is, are they books I would suggest or let my 14-year-old daughter read? For me, that means no sexual content. And I have like a slightly higher tolerance for swearing. Like, I prefer for it not to be in there, but if there's a little bit, I'm okay with that, but generally not too much. So that's what I like to read. That's what I like to recommend. Sometimes when I do these like no spice recommendations videos, people are like, give me the ones with spice. And I'm like, I can't, I don't have any. I don't read that. So if you're looking for some clean / no spice fantasy books, I hope to be able to help give you some recommendations today. If you want even more recommendations, I think this is my third, maybe fourth video in this series ish. And I can leave the other ones linked below so you can get even more recommendations, because I'm not going to repeat any of those. I have my computer here with my full list, and I had it written out in the order that I read the books, and then I've decided, you know what, let's just kind of go in order of which ones were my favorites. So the ones that I enjoyed the most will be at the top-ish. Some of these I can't really choose between, so there might not be that much difference between like spot 1 and 2 and 3, but from the top to the bottom, I feel like there is. Okay, but then I have to choose, where do we even start? That is a problem. Picking a place. Let's go with Rune by Victoria McCombs. I read this one earlier this year, and it's got Viking vibes and Viking mythology. So we follow a main character who also, I always forget character names. It's just a thing. Don't remember this character's name. So she lives in this Viking family. She's the second daughter, and her older daughter has kind of always been, she's the beautiful one, and our main character is a little sickly, but she has someone that she loves, and he's going to tell his family, I think, and declare his love for her to the world, propose pretty soon. And when she thinks that's going to happen, he actually proposes to her older sister instead. So a little bit of a rocky start for her right off the bat. She goes into like a vineyard to curse the gods, and this guy appears and says, oh, you are the missing child of our goddess in this world, so come along with me. So he takes her to this world where the gods and goddesses live, and she has this she wonders for the longest time, like, am I this missing goddess? I don't think so, but am I? And she gets to meet the people there. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoy Victoria McCombs, as will be evidenced by the fact that another one of her books will be on this list shortly. Actually, wait a minute, there's 2 more books of hers that are going to end up on this list. Next though, let's go with Half a Soul. I read this one in August, and I was just so invested in the story. It was exactly what I needed. It's a little bit, I don't know, it felt like a comfy sweater is what it felt like to me. So we're set in Victorian Regency era, and the prologue, we are with our main character when she is 10, and she ends up getting half of her soul removed by an elf, because her mother said that this elf could have her. Her mother exchanged her child for some gold, is what happened. But her cousin ends up throwing scissors at the guy, and he leaves before he can take her all away, like all of her soul, so he only gets half her soul. And so then the rest of the book, we are with her. She's around 20, and she feels emotions, she feels everything, like less than other people. because she only has half a soul. So she's constantly looking around at society and the people around her and like, okay, how am I supposed to be acting? She doesn't want to be obviously different, but she knows that she is. And her cousin and her are going to London for the season to find her cousin a husband. Lots of elements of this book actually remind me of the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. So if you like that series, you might also like this book. So they go to London for the season, and our main character thought that her cousin was totally on board, but she didn't realize that her cousin actually wanted to see the Lord Sorcerer and ask him to help her get her whole soul back. And yeah, I don't know, it was so cozy. At the same time, we get to see like the poorhouses and the workhouses of that time period. So it's not like it's all just super fun and games, super light and fluffy or anything like that, but thoroughly enjoyed it. The books that I do not own that are on this list are on my wish list. Unfortunately, I just can't afford to buy every book, but yeah, definitely want to grab that really soon. And I've heard really good things about book 2 in the series. They follow different characters, I believe. It's called the Regency Fairy Tales series. And then I've heard that book 3 has content that I will not like, so I'm going to stay away from book 3, but I'm looking forward to reading book 2. Okay, let's do one that I have physically here. Oh, my computer's on them. Let's do Ember Gold by Rochelle Nelson. I read this one, I think maybe at the beginning of August. How about that? And we follow Gilda. She lives in the marshlands, pretty much hasn't seen anyone in her life except her father, her father's cousin, and his child bride. And at the beginning of the book, he takes her and the people of his household on a journey. He has been chased by a dragon his whole life, and he wants to get out from under the curse of the dragon. So he shows Gilda this potion that he's made that she believes will scare the dragon away or something like that. But it turns out that her father is actually going to sacrifice her to the dragon. Super nice guy. No, not at all. Yeah, I cruised through this. This was the book this summer that made me realize, oh, I'm in the mood to read fantasy. And this book and then 3 others that are on this list I have loved in the last like 5 weeks. It's been a bit of a fantasy binge, and some really good ones have been read. Yeah, so she goes to get sacrificed to a dragon, and I don't know, I don't really want to say anything else. I think anything else is kind of spoilery. I really enjoyed how this book has like some mildly gritty details without really being too gritty, if that makes any sense. Gilda does not remember her mother. Her father isn't really a great guy, in case it wasn't obvious already. And she just, I feel like so often books are like, oh, I remember my dead parent and they were so amazing, and like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was a bit unique and I enjoyed that. Okay, I'm finding this actually very hard to share them in an order that I enjoyed because I really liked all of these. So kind of scrap what I said at the beginning. Let's do Rogue Secreto. So let's do another Victoria McCombs. I also read this one in August, definitely a great fantasy month. And we follow the 3rd daughter of an emperor. There is going to be this big celebration that her father is putting on, and all the people from different kingdoms are coming. And there is someone in his empire, I guess, who's called the Rogue Secreto. It's a person who can read other people's secrets, just has to see someone and can read their secrets. And I think it's been a very long time since there was one of these people in the land. And the emperor starts to work with the Rogue Secreto, who is in disguise. Can't really tell who they are, because it's actually his daughter, his 3rd daughter. And he commissions her to get these, I think they're coins, from the different kingdoms as they come. Different coins give you different kind of like powers. So he has always had the coin of like fertility. So she has quite a few siblings, which is rare, and other kingdoms, other people have these other coins, and he wants to get them all. And he starts out by saying, it sounds very reasonable, you know, like, oh yeah, he just wants things to be ruled properly. But the power slowly starts to get to his head, and there are quite a few like twists and turns that I didn't see coming, which I enjoyed. There's a reason she's one of my favorite authors. Honestly, I'm reading another one of her books right now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to end up on the list for the next time that I make one of these lists. I just really like her writing. Okay, let's do Powerless next. I shared this in a trying to read a bunch of popular fantasy books vlog, and my only disclaimer for this one is there is some swearing. It's not a ton, but it's in there, more so than any of these other books that I remember at least. So actually I don't think any of the other ones have any to my knowledge, but so I just want to say, put that out there. We follow a girl from the slums in Powerless, and there is, I don't remember what it's called now, but like some kind of trials, and kind of like Hunger Games-esque, where people get chosen from these different groups to go do these trials, and you don't know what the trial is going to be until you get there. And our main character ends up getting chosen because she kind of made a bit of a name for herself. At the beginning of the book, she went to go steal some coins from a guy that looked rich in the area, and she did, but then he started getting beat up, and she went back to save him and like single-handedly took out the people that were attacking him. And it turns out that it was the second son of the king that she stole from / saved, and he has the power to use other people's powers, and he can sense powers. Now, our main character, she doesn't have a power. She's an ordinary. She hides it, pretends she's psychic, when she just really has like these Sherlock abilities to notice things, and he doesn't sense her power. He is I think he's the enforcer, is that what it's called? And he kills people that, you know, don't have any powers, the ordinaries, or at least he's supposed to. She says that she can, because she's a psychic, she can block her mind, and that's why he can't sense her powers. But he also gets chosen for the trials, and the book ensues. I went in with low expectations, thoroughly enjoyed my time. Similar to the Half a Soul series though, for this one I've heard conflicting things for book one, or for book two. Some people like it more and some people don't. And then I heard book 3 is a big disappointment. So that's unfortunate. So I'm not recommending the series, but I enjoyed the book. Next up is The Starlit Prince by C.F.E. Black. Yeah, I really want a copy of this book as well. I mean, all of them. But this is a duology that are both standalone books. We follow best friends in each one, but they're not really in each other's books. So in this one we follow a girl who is set to win a lot of money the next day. There's going to be like a big horse race, and she's supposed to win a fortune, I think, because her father's prized horse is pretty much guaranteed to win. But the horse gets stolen, and so she chases after it to make sure that her and her family does not come to ruin. And she ends up making a deal with a fae. She promises to marry him if he promises that her father will win the race. So it ends up being a marriage of convenience book. She marries the fae. She goes to the fae world. And what I really appreciate about this marriage of convenience story is that she actually tries to get to know the guy that she's married and find the good in him and in the idea of them being married. He is on the grumpy side. definitely. It's a bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling here. How does it work? I think he like turns to a bear, some kind of animal, at certain times of the day. And so she's trying to get to know him, but he's like trying to hide his secrets. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed the second book, The Shadow Heir. And in that one, our main character, her father made a deal with the Fae because he couldn't have kids. So he decided to make a deal that his wife would have a child, but that child would go into the world of the Fae on her 20th birthday, I think it was, if she has not married the love of her life or something. And so she doesn't find the love of her life, and she ends up going into the world of the Fae. And for her, in order to survive there, she has to survive an entire year playing the games of the elves and surviving their trials. Really great duology. Really enjoyed both of them. Actually, just looking at them both on Goodreads right now, like they're both hovering around 4 stars, but oddly, the Starlit Prince is 3.94 and the Shadow Heir is 4.14. I think I liked them a little bit more the other way. Definitely recommend that duology / definitely could stand alone, because just each character is kind of mentioned in each one. I mean, if you're like me, definitely read book 1 first and then read book 2, but it wouldn't kill you to read it the other way. Okay, another one that I've got on my stack here. Where is it? I read The Truth Cursed by Angela Dickinson. And this one was surprising in some areas, some things that I didn't see coming. So we follow, the first page is so good at summing this up. A girl, okay, well, the first sentence I loved. It was, "I was only 8 years old when my aunts cursed me. It was, in my opinion, an extreme punishment for cutting Aunt Fenella's corset stays and hiding biscuits in my room." So she was cursed at the age of 8, and she was physically incapable of telling a lie. So we follow this main character who cannot tell a lie. And she ends up going to finishing school and getting picked as one of the girls to do some side studies. They train, the normal ones train with music, dancing, etiquette. She does that as well. And then she's part of the group that also learns poison making, fencing, and lock picking. And these girls are getting trained to infiltrate the king's court. And I liked it's Ella Enchanted, right? She's the one that can't tell a lie. I really liked those vibes, and the whole school with the training vibes. There was a lot in here. And then, yeah, some plot twists that I didn't really see coming and thoroughly enjoyed. I think that there might be a second book coming for this, but I don't know when exactly. I think it was originally written as a standalone, so it works like that. And yeah, loved it. Okay, my last Victoria McCombs book is Lethal Kings. So this is the second book in a duology. I'm pretty sure I shared Mortal Queens probably in my last Clean Fantasy video because I enjoyed that so much. And so I'm going to share the second book in the duology here, but I'm going to tell you what happens in the first one so I don't spoil anything. So we live in a land where there's, is it like 5 islands? And our main character, Thea, she lives on the center island. And every year, a young lady is chosen to become the mortal queen for the Fae. So it's just luck of the draw. You know, they grab a slip of paper, that's their queen for the year, and Thea gets chosen, and she instantly gets whisked away to the land of the Fae. She gets to say goodbye to her family, and then she gets whisked away. And then when she gets there, she's like, wait a minute, I'm here. The previous queen is here from last year. Where are all the other queens? Why do they need a new queen every year? And things start to come out, and the Fae are very tricksy. I'm realizing I've read a lot of books with elves / Fae, which are like the elves in these books act the same as the Fae. I don't really know what the difference is, but I don't know if that's like a buzzword for me. I wouldn't have thought so, but apparently I've enjoyed a lot of them. Yeah, so there's a lot of things you can't trust. Obviously, Thea wants to live beyond her time as a mortal queen, which is 2 years. After 2 years, the queens die. And she's trying to figure out how to stop that curse. Also trying to figure out who to trust while trying to play the games of the Fae, but not get taken by them. Super fun duology. Next up is The Forgotten Book. This one I think is originally translated from German. And this has some really good Harry Potter, like boarding school vibes. I don't know when I read it, but it would be a really good fall read. Like it definitely reminds me of Harry Potter. So our main character is the child of this, what is he, like kind of like the principal of the boarding school, which is in a castle in Germany. It's got some great vibes. She is not really rich enough to be going to this school, but because her father is the schoolmaster or whatever he is, she gets to be there. She loves the school, loves the people, which are great elements because sometimes you get the characters that are kind of like moody and don't want to be there. But right at the beginning of the book, our main character finds an old book, a forgotten book, let's say, in a drawer in an area of the castle that's been renovated or being renovated. And she realizes that whatever she writes in this book comes true, but not always like exactly how she means for it to come true. Also, years before, I don't know if it was like 4 or so years before, a girl went missing from the school, and her family pays a lot of the money for the school. They're kind of how the school gets funded. And this girl's, I think it's her twin brother, or her brother anyway, comes. He decides he's hanging out at the school for the year. It turns out he's looking for his sister because he's not satisfied with the answers. So we've got like these different elements going on, and I just found it such a fun read. I definitely would recommend reading it in the fall. Oh, I read it in October of last year, and I feel like it just has those perfect autumn vibes. We are down to our last two, which I have on a stack here. I've got The Unraveling of Emmeline Dulaine. This is book 1 in the Riven-Leah sphere. I don't know how many books are supposed to be in this series, but our main character, when she was like 7 years ago, so maybe when she was like 10ish, she saw her sister, who's 2 years older than her, I think, kind of disappear from the playground. She saw her unravel. And so for the last 7 years, her parents have been taking her to psychiatrist after psychiatrist, thinking she's a little loopy. But at the beginning of the book, she ends up getting pulled through a portal into this world, a fantasy world that has elements of stories that she wrote as a child. So like her childhood stories come to life, and it's in a world where stories like, you know, like any book ever written, they are in a sphere. So like The Wizard of Oz, let's say, is in its own little story globe, and the stories are losing color, the spheres are losing color. So she, in this world, is supposed to help the stories to gain back their color, but she gets very distracted by trying to find her sister. She feels like, for some reason, maybe her sister is in this world. I really enjoyed some of the banter. Like, there were so many things I highlighted and underlined. Our main character just had such a dry wit that I loved. I stand there thinking of every possible action while doing exactly nothing. If that isn't a metaphor for my life, I don't know what is. A wet, snorty grunt interrupts my musings. It sounds like a pig with a deviated septum, or a dog with severe hay fever. Maybe that is the better metaphor for my life. I just, you know, like, her parents kind of think she's crazy, but she's got spunk. I highlighted a ton of different things, had a lot of LOLs, enjoyed it. And yeah, I still need to read the second book. And then I think this was the last one. And now I went and random order, so hopefully I didn't miss one. I've got What If We Met in a Bookstore by Callie McClay. This one, I just feel a little conflicted because it's a portal fantasy. So our main character will get sucked into a fantasy world here. But I kind of preferred the beginning when she was just in everyday life because it was so cozy. She, makes tea and has cats, and I think she's a writer. Talked about Road to Avonlea, and just some really cozy things. Would be a really good book for the warm beverage prompt for my autumn reading challenge. Also, it's got a super cute cat. I love the cover. But anyway, years before, when our main character, Briar, when she was a teenager, she disappeared for a while. She when she came back, she couldn't really explain where she was, and ends up being kind of the outcast because people don't really believe her and all this. But she quickly learns through this book that when everyone said she disappeared and she was just like, I was just asleep, she actually entered into a different world. And that happens again in this book. And so I enjoyed the world that she got taken into, but honestly, I kind of preferred her world before that a little better. And I think maybe just because I was in the mood for a more cozy book than like something more adventure-y at the time is probably it. But love this cover. Definitely want to continue this series. And I believe that is it for my newest clean/no spice fantasy book recommendations. Like I said, I have a few other videos. I really don't even remember how many, 3 maybe, other videos on this topic sharing completely different books. So if you want even more book recommendations, check those out. At the rate that I'm currently reading fantasy, I feel like there will be another one of these pretty soon. If you have some great, clean, no spice fantasy books that you would like to recommend to me, please leave them in the comments. Apparently, I really enjoy books with fae. It seems to be a theme that I never picked up on before, so I mean, bonus points if you have something in that vein. But I would love to hear your recommendations, and I hope that you try some of these books and enjoy them.